stuck, stressed, spinning out, it might be your breathing. Hear me out. Your nervous system is listening to your breathing, and short, shallow, chest-driven breathing signals danger. Stay alert. Be ready. But long, deep, slow, rhythmic breathing driven by your diaphragm sends the signal to your body that you are safe. All is well. It's that simple and that profound. So you can change your breathing to change your state. It's like your breathing is a dial for your nervous system. And when you know how to use it, you can shift states quickly. You can go from stuck, stressed, and spinning out to clear, calm, and connected in minutes. Here's why. Your breathing is an invisible bridge between your body and your brain. Your breathing is both automatic, happening without you thinking about it, and it can be under conscious control. So it's the link between your conscious and unconscious minds. You can not only use your breathing to shift states, but your breathing will tell you what nervous system state you're in. Let's unpack the nervous system. So we're talking about the autonomic nervous system, which is the link between your body and your brain. Your autonomic nervous system manages physiological activity below conscious thought, stuff you don't even want to think about, like your heart rate, blood pressure, and digestion. There are two main branches to the autonomic nervous system that dance and balance one another out: the sympathetic pathway and parasympathetic pathway. The sympathetic pathway is commonly called fight or flight. Better to think of it as activation and mobilization. The parasympathetic pathway is commonly called rest and digest. All refer to it as cool, calm, and content. We need both pathways. One's not good and the other bad. Sympathetic tends to get demonized these days, but we need both, and both have very specific jobs in the body. With the sympathetic pathway, energy is directed outward. There's mobilization, activation, and catabolic processes that break the body down. This can be good, like when muscle gets broken down during strength training so it can rebuild stronger. In the parasympathetic pathway, the body's energy is directed towards regeneration and repair. There's still a lot going on. It's not just about rest, but it's anabolic processes where the body is being built up. A healthy nervous system is one that has flow, one that's dancing and oscillating between the different states. And this is where your breathing comes in. Dysregulation and dysfunction happens when you get stuck, and your breathing can tell you if you're stuck and also help get you out. An excellent tool to gauge the state of your nervous system is the window of tolerance, sometimes called the window of dignity. And when you're in that window, you have a certain degree of ease, openness, receptivity, willingness, acceptance, and you can handle what's coming at you. When you get to the edge of your window of tolerance, you start to feel uncomfortable first, and then anxious, frustrated, irritated. Panic can start to creep in, even overwhelm. Eventually, you start to drop down into shutdown, numbness, despair, dissociation. You don't care anymore. And these are the signs and signals that we're outside of our window of tolerance. Your breathing will tell you a lot about where you're at. When you're in your window of tolerance, your breathing will have an even cadence and rhythm. As you start to get frustrated, agitated, uncomfortable, your breathing will shorten and get shallow. It often becomes chest-driven. When you drop down into numbness, dissociation, you are tapped out, checked out, your breathing will slow down dramatically. Why does this happen? Well, your inhale is driven by the phrenic nerve, so it stimulates the sympathetic response. And your exhale is driven by the vagus nerve, stimulating a parasympathetic response. So full, functional, diaphragmatic breathing creates an even cadence that also balances the branches of your nervous system. Which begs the question, what is full, functional diaphragmatic breathing? During inhale, your diaphragm is meant to widen, flatten, and descend slightly. During exhale, the diaphragm lifts and lofts into its resting position. Let's do that again. During inhale, the diaphragm widens, flattens, and descends slightly. This pulls air into the lungs. And then during exhale, the diaphragm lifts and lofts up and returns to a resting position. and then pushes air out of the lungs. Other things are happening too. For example, when the diaphragm widens, flattens, and descends during inhale, your ribs open and expand too. And we want that expansion to happen front, back, side to side. This is where you get the Q360 breathing, or we use breathing with circumference. And then during the exhale, when the diaphragm lifts and lofts back up, the front ribs come in and down. The side ribs drop down slightly too. So let's go over that all again. During the inhale, the diaphragm widens, flattens, descends, and there's an expansion in the rib cage. During exhale, the diaphragm lofts up and in, and there's a natural contraction and dropping down of the rib cage. And there's that contraction that helps press the air out. That's the abdominals, because the diaphragm is going to a resting position. That's a lot of technical information. The important thing to remember is that functional breathing is driven by your diaphragm, not your chest. So the expansion happens in the rib cage, not your belly, not your chest, no shoulders shrugging. Full diaphragmatic breathing is also best done in and out through the nose. If you need more core power, you can inhale through the nose and exhale through pursed lips like you're breathing through a straw. That can help many people sense the dropping in and down of the ribs during exhale and that light contraction of the abdominals. Full functional diaphragmatic breathing is also slow, subtle, and rhythmic. No huffing and puffing, not a lot of body movement like shoulders shrugging or belly expanding and contracting. It's got this even cadence and rhythm which speaks to the nervous system. And that is part of what tells the body all is well, you are safe, you can be receptive and open. What often happens instead is you breathe with your chest, and that leads to short, shallow breathing, what's called dysfunctional breathing, and it puts you at a disadvantage with every system in your body. Studies show that about 68% of people have dysfunctional breathing, and it's usually this short, shallow, chest-driven breathing that's like a low-grade chronic hyperventilation that puts the body in a state of stress. This chronic hyperventilation is an exaggeration of the inhale. And the inhale is driven by the phrenic nerve. So it's going to stimulate the parasympathetic state. And that's the activation, mobilization state. So you end up in this vicious cycle where your breathing is stimulating the sympathetic state. The sympathetic state is driving your breathing. And then you can't get out of that stressed, anxious, panicked state. And this is how most people are living. The good news is shifting your breathing will quickly and efficiently influence your nervous system and get you back on that pathway to cool, calm, and content. To do that, you shift from the short, shallow, chest-driven breathing into that lower, deeper, diaphragmatic breathing. Do this with me. Put your hands on your lower ribs and close your eyes. Inhale and feel the front ribs expand. The side ribs widen and open like the gills of fish. And then exhale, allow the front ribs to drop in and down, and the side ribs close like the gills of fish. Keep going. Inhale, there's a natural expansion and opening. Exhale, there's a dropping in and down of the ribs. Keep going, in and out through your nose. Keep your shoulders soft and still. The muscles around your neck and jaw relaxed. If you've been trained to breathe into your belly, just don't do that. Focus on the ribs, focus on the diaphragm. Just like any muscle in the body, the diaphragm can be weak or tight, and it responds to training. Another breath or two. And then notice how you feel. Your breathing can quickly shift the state of your nervous system. And notice it just took a little bit of breathing, and I bet you got at least a taste of it. So your breathing can act as a brake to the sympathetic activation, that go, 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 do, do, do. And you notice you're doing short, shallow, chest-driven breathing. You just drop down, put your attention and your awareness on your diaphragm, and just that will start to balance the branches of your nervous system. This is particularly powerful when you're doing resilience building practices. For example, cold plunge, which is a hormetic stress. You're intentionally challenging the body in order to widen your window of tolerance, to actually recalibrate the nervous system and how you respond to stress. Your breathing is like applying the brakes to the stress response, especially when you can get down into the diaphragm and elongate your exhales. We'll talk about that more in a moment. Managing your breathing determines the dose, how long you can go, how much you can do, how much change you create in that intentional stressor of the hormetic practice. When you use your breathing to apply the brakes to your nervous system, you expand your window of tolerance. You're able to stay in that place of discomfort and not fall off the edge into a sympathetic response or a dorsal vagal shutdown response. This is how you use stressors, challenges, difficulty to become anti-fragile. Your breathing is the key. An even cadence of inhale and exhale balances the branches of your nervous system. But what if you want to create something different? What if you need to calm down quickly? Then you exaggerate and elongate the exhale, because the exhale is driven by the vagus nerve and it shifts you into the parasympathetic pathway. For example, something happens, you're triggered, you're about to blow, say something you don't mean, inhale through your nose, exhale through pursed lips like you're breathing through a straw. The longest exhale possible. Again, that stimulates the vagus nerve, gets you into that cool, calm, content place. It may take about 5 rounds of breathing, but that is faster than having to repair or clean up something after you're triggered. Another elongated exhale strategy is humming, or what in the yoga tradition they call Brahmari, bee buzzing breath. And this works because the vibration of the humming or the buzzing stimulates the vagus nerve on the sides of the throat, and you have the elongated exhale. So that's something like inhale through your nose, and then exhale. So when you need calm, cool, content, especially quickly, focus on elongating and exaggerating your exhale, which can be through pursed lips or something like buzzing or humming. What if you need to create energy? For example, you're going on stage, you're about to give a presentation, you're going to do a vigorous physical activity. Then you exaggerate the inhale, because the inhale is driven by the phrenic nerve and will stimulate the mobilization pathway, the sympathetic response. For example, breathing practices like Wim Hof or Tumo are energizing breathing practices. They exaggerate the inhale, and then there's a short, quick, automatic exhale. Similar practices in the yoga tradition are Kapalabhati, skull shining, also called breath of fire or breath of joy. I'll show you breath of joy, which is one of my favorites. There are 3 sharp inhales followed by a whooshing exhale. The arm movements help you remember to breathe and keep you in a nice rhythm. To wrap up, for balance, you want an even cadence of inhale and exhale. For calm, you exaggerate and elongate the exhale. For energy, you exaggerate and elongate the inhale. So what does this mean for practice? You can use your breathing to influence your nervous system. Movement can be used to remind you and create an even cadence of moving and breathing, which is balancing and healing. You can also change the pace of your moving and breathing to either stimulate and create energy, exaggerated inhale, faster pace, or calm you down and exaggerated exhale in a slower pace. Here's some questions to ask yourself to tune into your breathing and use it strategically. What is the rhythm of my breathing? What does this tell me about my nervous system? Do I want more of the same, or do I want to create a change? Here are ways to carry this with you. Check in with your breathing regularly to assess the state of your nervous system and calibrate as necessary. Use what you've learned today to adjust your moving and breathing for specific nervous system benefits. As you continue to tune into your breathing, you will build a new level of relationship with your nervous system. You want to practice breathing and then moving and breathing for healing with an awesome faculty of teachers. We have a 10-day challenge to fall in love with your breathing. October 6th through 17th. It's 100% free. It's amazing. Use the link below to register.